just gone back to our homerooms when the earthquake hit and those tiles came down. And we all thought they were there. We thought, oh my God, that's where we were sitting 3 minutes ago. Yeah. I had my first dance in this building, the 7th and 8th grade dance. That would have been spring of 1956. I was a 7th grader here, and that was a big deal. The slow dance with the guy I had quite a crush on. So maybe you could say it was almost a hug, but not a kiss. We weren't allowed to kiss. This was the kindergarten playground.
Oh,
big jungle gym, swings and the slide. The kindergarten room had these wonderful murals. Have you been to Quake Tower? If you ever get to see the murals up there, they were the same kind of murals, the WPA project of the Depression years, where artists would be hired on federal grants and put murals in public buildings. And we had one in the whole kindergarten room, and they whitewashed over it. It was beautiful, and to be a 5-year-old looking at this beautiful art all around you was really wonderful.
This was started by Carolyn Shea, the late Carolyn Shea. I'm sure some of you know her. She was a trustee here on the school board for 17 years, and she got this together a little over 10 years ago. And unfortunately, she passed away a couple of years ago, and it just sort of went with her. And so about a year ago, the trustees talked about it with the superintendent, and we decided we need to get our senior citizens back into our community again. It's been a couple of years. So this is why we had you in here today. And this is just the beginning, like Trustee Fama said. This is just the start. We want to keep connected to our seniors. You know, and when you walked around today, the different schools, you saw some pretty clean, pretty neat schools. And the reason why you saw that is because the Millbrae residents, 2 times in the last 10 years, gave us $30 million. That's $60 million in bonds. The school district was able to get that money from the residents that voted for that and put it to good use. And we rebuilt our sidewalks, we redid classrooms, we redid pavement, you know, all different things that we did to make our schools safer, cleaner, and a good place to have a school district.
If you take a look at one component that our Board of Trustees has charged me with, and that's part of our LCAP goal, and LCAP goal number 3 states that it is our due diligence, it is our commitment to ensure that our school community connects with our outer community. And it is a goal written in our school plan. It is a goal written in our local control accountability plan, which the state holds us to. And so this is, as Trustee Barbara stated, this is just the beginning. I'm working with Adrienne Bush. I think that many of you may know her. She is the liaison working with Charlene down at the senior center. She wants us to be more engaging and to work with seniors, not only at the rec center, but also at the Magnolia Center and then at the Green Hill Center. And so it is my commitment to ensure that if there are activities or if there are events that I can invite you all to, I'll be more than happy to remember and take advantage of that. One of the things that I wanted to mention, I believe Mr. Your last name escapes me.
McBride.
McBride. When I used to forget a little kid's name, I say, if I forget it again, I owe you $10. Mr. McBride.
It's really James.
I look at So he had mentioned something about the music program. One of the things that we have for us is a strong music program. You all know that the state doesn't fund music programs. We've been extremely blessed through our foundation. The board has, let me take a step back. Before we had to fund our music program through our foundation, the board took action to put that into our general budget. And so Dr. Gonzalez is part of the general budget. However, he does teach a 0 period. He alluded to teaching a class at 7:30. It's an extra period, and it's funded by our Millbrae Education Foundation. And so when you hear the foundation, that's a program that it funds. The foundation was also able to bring an elementary music teacher to our elementary sites. And so you may have heard of Miss Kaori Denoya. She is an elementary music teacher. We also have a .5, a halftime elementary band teacher at our elementary sites as well. And so we do have a winter concert coming up. I have all of your contacts. I will be sure to invite you all. We will also have a spring concert as well. One of the things that I want to continue to talk about is with the limited resources we have in Millbrae School District, we are one of the top performing school districts in San Mateo County in the state of California. And the questions we always get asked is, how do you do that? Your school district, Vahn, you guys don't have any local taxes. And that's the only way other school districts are outperforming us. And so it does, I celebrate that we have a music teacher at the elementary sites, 1 music teacher for 4 schools. We celebrate that we have 1 part-time band teacher for all elementary schools. But I want to be the superintendent, and we want to be the district to say, we have 4 music teachers. We have 4 band teachers at the elementary sites. That's what other school districts are saying, and that's what they get to say because they have other means and other resources in terms of financial support. And so today, as Trustee Barbara stated, it's just the beginning. I'm here, my door is open. I had a brief conversation with our guest today to say, hey, what about us doing an art activity with some of the kiddos at some of the schools? Certainly, let's plan a senior activity day. So it's been a lot of fun planning, and I know that your time is valuable as well. We appreciate that, and thank you so much for being part of our school district. I'm here to let you know that our partnership, not only with seniors, but with our service organization and our PTAs and PTOs is extremely important to our board. We couldn't do any of this without our volunteers and our support network. So thank you. And the next part of our program is just a short snippet of the oral history of Millbrae. I think that kind of captures who we are and why we're here. It has a lot of school information and folks dating back to 1924. And so I share that with you today. And then we'll have some closing remarks from some of our trustees. Certainly have a couple more drawings. Would we like to do one while I set this up, Trustee Faria?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Lamita Park School. I went there for 2 years and that was it.
Typical day as a...
I went with you. We graduated together, didn't we?
Right, that's right.
Yeah, we did. We graduated together,
How big
thinking
was the
about it.
school? How many rooms?
How many?
One room with 2 classes.
Right, 7 and 8.
We had Alameda Park Grammar School in 1918 when I started, was one big room with 2 classes, and that was it.
Schooling was fun for me, and I enjoyed it. And we had great teachers. Everyone said they went to school to learn reading and what else did you learn? Reading?
Arithmetic.
Oh, they forgot the arithmetic. I wanted to mention that. We had arithmetic. We had the greatest teacher, Mrs. Switzer. And I tell you, if you had her, you didn't need a computer today. If all the instructors were like this instructor. She was very good.
Basically, what I learned in school was to read and write in English. Because when we were home, we always spoke the Italian language. No reflection on my folks, but I mean, they didn't speak English at that time. Very little.
So back then there was no computer science. There was
There was
no
nothing.
head shop. There was no.
I don't think any of us, except Mildred, could talk a word of English when we started school. And you're asking how the teachers were. I believe I still have blisters on a certain part of my body, and I got through grammar school in 26. Because we had a teacher, a Mrs. Arnett, that had a paddle with holes in it. And when you did something that she didn't like, she didn't hesitate one bit.
Teachers were very good, but rough. They,
In what way?
well, if you didn't pay attention, they'd make you pay attention. They used to strap you or get you by the scuff of the neck and just bounce you around in your seat. So you popped all your buttons in your shirt. And they were rough. I mean, they made you mind. You were angry those days. I mean, why they treated you that way, but in later years, I thought they did right. They're my best friends.
We had Mrs. McKenzie.
Mackenzie.
She was a beautiful teacher. Remember she took us up to Mount Diablo once? With a little Ford she had. We all went in there and she took us all the way to Mount Diablo. I'll never forget that. She was a terrific teacher. We did the best we could, you know.
Everything.
I only went to the 8th grade. And that was it. But we had a lot of fun.
I graduated from grammar school in 26. Mike and I together, there was 5 boys and 5 girls. It was a big class.
We was in the 8th grade there, and so we were sitting down and somebody made some noise behind me. And so the teacher looked at me and said, "You make that noise?" I said, "No, I didn't make that noise." And about 5 minutes later, somebody made noise behind, and I looked up, and she says, "Go home." She told me to go home. So I get about a block away, and who follows me was Joe.
So I went and told the teacher that I made the noise, so she sent me home too, and he was still waiting up on the highway.
About a block away, and here comes Joe followed me. So we walk up to his basement, we start eating all the prunes. I'll never forget that. But I didn't want to go home, I had to go work. I didn't want to go work, and you didn't either.
Chadbourne was, I started kindergarten in 1954, and then I think later in the late 60s, 70s, it was kind of torn down and made into a more modern school, like open concept, and then later on it closed along with Highland School, and of course, you know, it's Magnolias and Millbrae now. But it was a nice, good experience. It was just a couple blocks, you know, from my house after we moved, you know, when we moved to Poplar.
You know, the schools, at first we had to be walked to school because the gas rationing was still on. And I went to kindergarten at Chadbourne School through the 3rd grade, and then everybody converged at Taylor on the 4th grade level until the 8th grade. And when my children went to school there at Taylor, they were just 7th and 8th graders there. And my grandchildren, it was 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I just took care of the children until they were in school. My husband believed that mother should be home. And so and then of course we had the business manager, Mr. Klein, live across the street, and he saw me work in my yard and everything. So he came one day and he said, "How'd you like to start a snack bar at Taylor for us?" And that's how I started a snack bar. at Taylor. I ran the snack bar for about, I think, 2 years until I was really comfortable with it, and I went back to college and got my teacher's aide certificate. And from then I transferred into being a teacher's aide at Taylor, and I was there 24 years.
I loved Taylor School. I loved Chadbourne School, too. The schools in Millbrae were excellent. And the best, well, we had Mr. Hogan, who was a terrific principal for all my years until the 8th grade. And then I got a principal there. Well, he wasn't the principal. It was my math teacher came, Eldon Boyd, terrific man. He eventually became principal of Chadbourne School. And he was also a terrific man. Mm-hmm. And it was the best education you could hope for. It was really good.
The changes would be what was really important to us as faculty and as students were, first of all, there were no cell phones. And the students there were so spirited. They when we'd have rallies, it was frenetic. It was really a lot of energy, and we had numerous players that would. There were also scholars. There were scholars and also great athletes, and as the years went on, sports was not as much of a passion as it was for academics. And I know we go to school first to get an education, but that was a real change. We would be attending games with the feverish attitude of winning and cheering and all, and the stadium or the sides of the bleachers were filled either at Burlingame or at Cap and at Mills, and then they would start shrinking, and a lot of times it's hard building a team. So that was one change I noticed. My stay there was from 53 to 56. The 3 years I was there, we basically stayed on campus. Once in a while we go down as just a change of activities. We would all sit in front of our 5th period class waiting for our teacher to come. Mm. And we'd sit in the hallways and eat our sandwiches and cold drinks and eat an apple. Kids don't eat apples anymore. It was 325 students, and I had the honor of being one of the speakers. Our graduation we worked very hard. We made $5,000 to promote the entertainers to come to our auditorium in our gymnasium, and we had tables around. It was an elegant evening, and the parents cooked this one great dinner for us, and then the morning they cooked us made a beautiful breakfast for all of us. I believe from what I saw at Mills in the last 3-4 years, I went to a couple breakfasts, and they have that there.
They have the same spirit.
A big support family there.
Going to school here in the 50s and 60s was, it's all I know, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. We had great teachers, good old school teachers, very strict. Yes, we got our hands slapped a little bit, but that's not allowed anymore. But no, not really. As far as changes in the school systems, the only thing I regret is the fact that they got rid of the shop classes, the trade classes, be it woodworking, metal shop, auto shop. And the kids nowadays can't have hands-on in high school just to see if they are able or like to do that. I took woodshop, and I have now been a custom woodworker in San Mateo since 1988 by myself. And I give a lot of credit to Mr. Wilkins, my woodshop teacher at Cappuccino. And I'm enjoying my work. It's like a professional hobby.
And one more shout out to my admin assistant, Miss Claudia Budagig, who I don't know how she plans it. Look what time it is. It's 1 o'clock. And she plans it perfectly. So shout out to her as well. We're here. We have treats and we have snacks. it concludes our program, but we're still here if you want to chat and hang out and sign up to be volunteers.
Can we take our placements?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is from Ms. Theodokos' second grade classroom. So thank you. Thank you for being here.